The latest news out of Kansas City has fans split. Some feeling relief after back-to-back wins, others getting nervous about what's really going on behind the scenes. That blowout win over the Ravens looked great on paper, but was it just a fluke against a collapsing team? And if your alarm bells haven't gone off yet, one of the team's biggest stars is quietly underperforming in a way that should have everyone paying attention. To top it all off, a once-forgotten wide receiver is suddenly exploding, and KC may need to act fast to avoid losing him, and that's where it all starts. All right, let's talk about the Kansas City Chiefs, because after a shaky start, they're finally showing signs of life. Maybe. But are they actually back? Or did they just beat up on a Ravens team that's spiraling? Opening the season, things looked rough. Xavier Worthy, KC's shiny new toy at wide receiver, didn't even make it through the first game, bowing out early with a dislocated shoulder. Without him, the offense looked flat, and the Chiefs stumbled out of the gate with back-to-back L's, first to the Chargers, then to the Eagles. They finally scraped together a win in Week 3, though, let's be real, it was a low-key snoozer against a struggling Giants team. But Week 4? That was different. The Chiefs didn't just win, they popped off against the Ravens, blowing them out 37-20 with Worthy back in the mix. Mahomes and the offense finally looked like the Chiefs again. Here's the catch, though. Baltimore's 1-4 now and looking like a mess. Bad O-line, iffy run game, defense full of holes. So, yeah, it was a big-name win, but was it actually a big-time win? We're about to find out, because next up is a trip to Jacksonville for a showdown with a red-hot Jaguars squad on Monday Night Football. This is a chance for KC to prove that Week 4 wasn't a one-off, that they really rolling again. Despite KC's rocky start, Vegas still likes the defending champs. The Chiefs are 3-point favorites on the road, sitting at 172 on the money line according to FanDuel. And, yeah, Jacksonville might be 3-1 with a couple of eyebrow-raising wins, including a gritty road upset of the 49ers. But the odds makers aren't biting. The Jags' defense has been on one to start the year. They've racked up 3 takeaways in every single game so far, including a 4-turnover beatdown of Brock Purdy and San Fran. This unit lives to create chaos. Zone-heavy looks, tight coverage, ball punching, tip drilling, you name it, they're doing it. Mahomes has only thrown 1 pick so far this season, but this is exactly the kind of defense that can bait him into mistakes if he starts hunting highlight throws. On the flip side, Kansas City's defense has quietly been the MVP of their season. They've been way better than expected and could be in for another solid day against a Jaguars offense still trying to find its groove under new OC Liam Cohen. But not everything's looking up. A serious concern just dropped involving one of the Chiefs' biggest defensive stars, and it could shift the course of the season. So, the Kansas City Chiefs might look like they back in business after a slow start, but if you peek behind the curtain, there's a storm brewing, and it's got nothing to do with Mahomes slinging bombs or that Week 4 beatdown of the Ravens. Yes, Patrick Mahomes just put on an MVP-caliber show, and yes, KC has stacked 2 straight wins to climb back into the mix. But if you zoom out a bit, there is a pretty real reason for Chiefs Kingdom to start sweating a little about the long game. Bucky Brooks of Fox Sports put a spotlight on this by naming Chris Jones as the most important non-QB on the team, and for good reason. The guy's a 3-time All-Pro, a certified game wrecker, and arguably the only true pass-rushing force the Chiefs have on that D-line. With 81.5 career sacks, and a highlight reel full of destruction, he's been the heartbeat of their defense for years. But here's the thing, he's not quite that guy anymore. Through 4 games this season, Jones has just 1 sack. 1. He's still making plays, 5 tackles for no gain or loss, which is solid. But he doesn't look like the same dude who used to blow up double teams and force QBs into panic mode. And let S not pretend like the Chiefs are loaded with young studs waiting in the wings to pick up that slack. They're not. That's the bigger issue. The core trio of Mahomes, Kelce, and Jones built this dynasty, but 2/3 of that machine is showing signs of wear. Kelce's still a matchup nightmare, but he's not aging in reverse, and his impact is starting to shrink just enough to be noticeable. And the scary part? The Chiefs haven't drafted anyone who looks ready to take over when these guys start really slowing down. Kansas City's front office has done a solid job finding depth over the years, but they've whiffed on some key spots, tight end and edge rusher being the big ones. You'd think by now they'd be grooming Kelce as successor or building up a young pass rush to eventually take over for Jones. But nope, they're still riding with the same horses and crossing their fingers they got another year or two of dominance left. And sure, Mahomes can paper over a lot of cracks. He's that special. But even he can't do it all, especially if the defense starts slipping or the offense becomes too one-dimensional. And to wrap it up, a comeback story is turning into a breakout year. And now the Chiefs may be forced to make a major decision, fast. Tyquan Thornton came to Kansas City as a bit of a reclamation project, someone who didn't quite pan out in New England, but had the speed and potential that the Chiefs are always sniffing out. Fast forward 4 games into the 2025 season, and he's already dropped nearly half of his entire career yardage and is sitting on a personal best in touchdowns. Yeah, he's ballin'. If he keeps this up, he's on track for 43 catches, 774 yards, and a spicy 13 touchdowns across a full season. That kind of output, especially with Worthy and Rashee Rice back in the mix, might not be fully sustainable, but it sure proves one thing. This dude matters in KC's offense. Thornton's not just filling a hole, he's potentially solving one. The Chiefs have always loved their burners out wide, guys who can stretch the field vertically and force safeties to lose sleep. They had Tyreek Hill. Then they tried to plug the gap with MVS. Now, Thornton might just be the best version of that role since Cheetah left the building. And here's the big kicker. If he stays on the active roster for 2 more games, he's set to hit free agency after this season. So if the Chiefs want to keep him, and they should, the clock's ticking. From a front office standpoint, it makes too much sense to get ahead of this. Sign him now, before the rest of the league sees him as more than just a feel-good comeback. If he keeps stacking productive weeks, that price tag only goes up. Right now, the Chiefs could offer him some life-changing money while still getting a cap-friendly deal. Think something like 2 years, $22 million, with a fully guaranteed first year. That would be a win-win. Financial security for Thornton, flexibility for KC, and a return ticket to free agency if he keeps ascending. This move would also help settle the Chiefs' wide receiver room for the next few seasons. Heading into 2026, they'd have Worthy, Royals, and potentially Thornton locked in. Rashee Rice's deal runs through 2026, so they've got time to make a call on him. Meanwhile, Juju and Hollywood Brown are likely out of the picture. And the early buzz around the 2026 WR draft class isn't exactly glowing. Thornton stepping up allows KC to avoid reaching in a thin draft. Oh, and let's not ignore the bigger roster puzzle here. The Chiefs are already shelling out major bucks to core guys like Mahomes, Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, George Karlaftis, and Nick Bolton. But with some rookie contract talent hitting, like Josh Simmons and Kingsley Suamataia on the O-line and Noel Williams in the secondary, they've got just enough breathing room to lock up someone like Thornton without breaking the bank. Travis Kelce's retirement is coming sooner than later. When that day hits, This offense is going to need reliable, explosive playmakers at the skill spots. Thornton's rise gives them exactly that. And if they play it smart, they can make sure he's catching bombs from Mahomes for years to come. The team's winning, but cracks are forming in places no one expected. If the front office doesn't act soon, it could cost them big later. Like the video and subscribe for more Chiefs updates.